Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast. Now, as regular listeners will know, I am incredibly passionate about taking complex technologies and making them a little more palatable for businesses and people outside of the tech industry to help them see the value in these emerging technologies. And much of that passion stemmed from my former IT life, where I'd sat in one too many meetings of where the IT guy opens his mouth and all the other business departments started thinking about what they wanted for tea, and they lost the room completely. So hopefully on this podcast we'll act as a bridge to put everything in a language that everyone will understand. And today I've invited Rasheda back onto the podcast, who's the CEO and co-founder of AllianceBlock. And if you missed our first conversation last year, AllianceBlock is the first globally compliant decentralized capital market. And I invited him back on the podcast after reading that he said the approval of a Bitcoin exchange traded fund would enable wider access and encourage institutional participation in Bitcoin through the likes of retirement accounts and other standard investment vehicles, which would further legitimize both it and the wider crypto asset industry as a new asset class. And the lack of an ETF to date is hurting investors, as it has led to significant premiums in the Grayscale Bitcoin Investment Trust, which is one of the most popular ways for US citizens to gain Bitcoin exposure. Now, that statement, combined with its long list of partnerships and collaboration news, was more than enough for me to get him back on the podcast. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to Switzerland, where Rasheda is waiting to speak with us about all this and give us an update on all the latest news and strategic collaborations that they've got going on at the moment. So a massive warm welcome back to the show. But for anyone that missed our previous conversation, could you just remind the listeners with a little about who you are and what you do?
Yes. So first of all, thank you very much for having me again. It's been a few months, but in crypto, it's like eternity. And I'm really happy to be with you again. So I'm Rasheda. I'm co-founder and CEO of AllianceBlock, building the future of finance. And our objective basically is to answer to this question: what would look like financial system if it was built from scratch with the current technologies, i.e. with DeFi technology? So this is what we are doing, and we had exciting few months, and happy to discuss this with you today.
Well, like you said, we last chatted, I think it was 6 months ago in December last year. And as you said there, that is an eternity in the world of crypto. So what are the latest advancements made by AllianceBlock? What have I been missing?
Yeah, so actually there was a lot. And we were happy to be on board in Consensus last week, where we announced 4 major announcements. So as we discussed last time, so the objective for us is to build this compliant bridge between decentralized finance and traditional finance and unlock DeFi to the world. So this is really our objective, because we believe in this technology and the opportunity that it's creating. So in order to do this, we are building a modular approach, multiple products that can be interconnected. And 4 of the announcements that we have done last week, the first one is partnership with Databricks. Databricks is the leader in data and AI in the world, 28 billion valuation. And we are happy that we will work together on democratizing data in the decentralized data layer. The second announcement, it was the trustless KYC AML, because we know that traditional finance will never come to DeFi if they don't know with whom they are dealing. But we don't want basically to have to lose the people being anonymous, but in the meantime, they need to be verified. So with our solution is decentralized KYC, where we announced one of our biggest partners, GBG, which is the leader in KYC AML, UK-based actually. They work with HSBC, with the London Stock Exchange and other big financial institutions, including Revolut. And we will allow the users to control the data and to give or revoke access for being verified. It could be for investment or for banks. The third one is what we call decentralized bridge. And actually, we just announced our website launch of the testnet today. And it is faster, it is cheaper, and it is more decentralized than any bridge. And this is completely in line with our philosophy of being a blockchain agnostic. Thanks to our Alliance Bridge, we will be able to link any two blockchain instead of having multiple bridges between Ethereum and another blockchain. Actually, what we are building is with any source chain and any target chain, we will be able to make the connection between them, which bring the interoperability and which will unlock even more the potential of DeFi. And the last but not least, I'm speaking a lot, but I would say the last but not least is Alliance DEX. So we managed to create a new family of automatic market making where we optimize more than 50% the impermanent loss compared to Uniswap, for example, which is, I would say, the state of the art now. So we will release soon this DEX. And as you can see, we have the bridge for interoperability. We have the trustless KYC for the compliance and regulation. And we have the DEX for the decentralized exchange. So if we put all this product together, actually the bridge between DeFi and TradFi is coming sooner than we think.
Man, you've packed a lot into 6 months. You've been busy there, haven't you?
Exactly. I hope we have more than 24 hours a day, but I need to clone myself.
The world of blockchain and crypto, to me, feels very much like startup life, where it's just one big roller coaster ride of tremendous highs and dramatic dips. And I think investors probably go through the same thing. But can you expand on how you've seen a growth in institutional interest in blockchain and crypto? Because that feels like the big game changer this time around, when if we compare now with what was happening in 2017.
Indeed, there is a lot of interest. And actually we are seeing, so you have the banks that they are still shy, because even though they speak about crypto, there are still some banks that don't accept crypto. And actually the funny story is that when I came to Switzerland, I wanted to open an account. I will not cite the bank. And when I tell them that I am in crypto, they told me, we are sorry, we don't open a bank account. So this is the paradox where we are. On the other side, on institutional level, we see that they are considering Bitcoin as a real asset class. We are seeing people that are interested into DeFi in terms of the product that it can deliver, specifically hedge funds and basically some desk of the investment banks, wealth managers, asset managers. And always when we speak with these financial institutions, and especially some banks, they told us that they love the concept of DeFi, and they want to be able to provide, for example, liquidity into decentralized exchange because of the trading fees and because they want to become a player also in DeFi. However, is it impossible for them to do so now because of this compliance and regulation and KYC? And this is where, when we speak about this solution, this is exactly the missing point, that we will see a massive adoption. So we saw a lot of interest, still somehow shy, but it is coming, and we know it is imminent.
That's insane. Banks turning away customers, and at a time where you'd think they'd want to be keeping up and not getting left behind, like the retail industry and the mistakes that they've made in the high street stores. To be turning customers away makes no sense to me at all. But as for mainstream adoption and partnerships, it just seems so important in attracting people to the industry. So how do you think we can build on that institutional interest?
Yeah, so how we can build actually is to show a safe environment, secure environment, that protect both investor, institutional or retail, somewhere where we have very good user interface that is easy and simple to use, because now blockchain has become a technology. So we don't need to hype and speak about we are using blockchain. We are providing services that will be used with these institutionals or with this retail. We don't care anymore if it's blockchain or another technology. Of course, blockchain, it's bring this safety, it's bring this traceability, it's bring this transparency. So this is why I think now we need, if we want adoption, we need to provide less fragmented space, more interoperability, more clean user face and simple for the user journey. And we need basically to inform about everything. So for example, now people are interested about the tax, what they will pay into crypto, and they are more and more open to pay this, especially here in Switzerland and other jurisdictions. And this is actually what we need in order to increase the adoption. We need to show we don't need to speak about we are using blockchain as a buzzword, but we are providing services to clients that they will benefit them, maybe cutting costs, increasing revenue stream, providing new revenue stream. So this is exactly the sell point that we need to focus on to increase adoption, and not just say blockchain is the future. No, now we need to act, and we need to show why it's the future.
I completely agree with you. And anyone following the space closely will know that there is a decision from the Security and Exchange Commission, the SEC, regarding a number of Bitcoin ETFs is imminent right now. And in recent weeks, though, several significant players, including Fidelity and VanEck, amongst others, in the corporate world, have started to throw their weight behind cryptocurrencies and attempted to enter the digital market using ETFs, sparking debates about what an approval would mean for the crypto and blockchain sphere. I'm cautiously optimistic and excited, but what do you think will happen next? And what do you think it will mean for the industry?
Yeah, definitely. So basically, the introduction of Bitcoin ETF would be really significant step in the right direction for the mainstream adoption of cryptocurrency trading. So this would make Bitcoin much more accessible for institutional investors that don't want to take custody of the assets due to the costs and knowledge it takes to upgrade their infrastructures to support digital assets. So, but also due to their mandate. So, for example, equity funds will be able to invest in Bitcoin ETF, same as they can invest in gold ETF, even if they don't have a commodity mandate. It will also increase the legitimacy of Bitcoin as an investment for a wider audience. An SEC endorsement could open the doors of digital finance for millions of new users, and this is why it's really important step. So as well as freeing up access to millions of dollars. So, however, we have lately seen the SEC showing some reticence in approving the multiple Bitcoin ETF that have filled an application. So I believe that the main worry of the SEC emerges from the fact that Bitcoin trades 24/7. There is no official closing price, and there can be quite a lot of arbitrage between centralized exchange and decentralized exchange, especially during volatile days. So as the ETF is supposed to track the asset one-to-one, the SEC must be worried about tracking error that due to, one, volatility, and two, the unconventional structure of the markets of this brand new asset class. So can be consequential. So it seems to us logical that the SEC is taking time in studying the risk, opportunities, and market effect of Bitcoin ETF, but we are still optimistic that we will see an approval with Gensler Turner.
And I also wanted to highlight that AllianceBlock, since we last spoke, recently secured funding under the 100 million accelerator fund to set up and boost the Binance Smart Chain ecosystem. So can you expand on that for anyone that missed that news?
Yeah, of course. So for us, it was really big milestone. Binance Smart Chain, as we know, they are having like a huge success. A lot of transactions that are coming basically, and we saw the grow. We saw also that Binance, they have launched their institutional website to bring asset managers, wealth managers. So they have their focus on the retail, which they are the best, but also they are starting to have a huge interest in the institutional world. And they have had amazing hires basically to be able to conquer this market. So for us, this $100 million DeFi fund is a very important step because one, it shows that they believe on what we are building. Two, it's because for us, we will have access to huge ecosystems and huge user base that will bring also more adoptions to our products. And three, for us, our vision is to be blockchain agnostic. So being able to be part of the BSC funds is also another step to support more blockchain. We have also, in parallel, spoke about Ava and other products, which is good because we want, as I said, to become blockchain agnostic. But to come back to your question is yeah, so it's important step for us because it's bring us a lot of legitimacy to be in this fund, and we are really looking forward to start having our product on BSC.
And your team also, I believe, has recently revealed a strategic collaboration with Ava Labs and announced the integration of its compliance DeFi applications into the Avalanche ecosystem, which is incredibly cool. And another that I read about before you came on today was with EnergyWeb, which will see the EnergyWeb tech stack utilize AllianceBlock's liquidity mining as a service product. But can you tell me more about these strategic collaborations? Because it, again, sounds incredibly cool.
Of course, like Avalab, they have like amazing ecosystem that is growing by the day in terms of DeFi, in terms of and the fact that they want also to become one of the biggest players in the institutional side. So being able to provide this compliance layer to all DeFi products that are based on Ava, it's a huge important step for us. And again, as I said earlier, is basically to going toward this being agnostic. So we have huge support from Ava, and we will be able to. So we released today our Alliance Bridge that support already Ava, which is the first step of this collaboration. And as soon as we will release the trustless KYC, we will be able to provide this to the product, where we will be able then to bring the institutional players. In terms of Energy Web, it was a huge milestone for us because they have huge institutional interest in terms of renewable energy and all the validators that they have, which are very, very big companies in the space. And being able to collaborate with them first with this liquidity mining as a service, which we released actually this Monday, and we have already one customer that is using it, and they have increased in 24 hours their liquidity by $500,000. Which is an important milestone, and they have like even more users that are using this platform. So we believe that this is an important step for us to get more attention for our product, more adoption, and also Energy Web, they are doing something about energy, which means that we will be able to create derivative products on their underlying data. And this is also a very, very important step. So we are really, really excited about these collaborations. And we have announced last week, actually, our collaboration with Hedera Hashgraph, where we use what we call the Hedera consensus services in our Alliance Bridge, which is quite unique because it can bring a transparent audit trail for the transactions that are being done between blockchains. And this is really unique on the market because we are the first one to do this, and it will allow to bridge like the different blockchain. So yeah, lots of collaborations, and we are really excited.
And not only that, of course, you also launched the MVP of your first product, the AllianceBlock Data Tunnel, which I believe is a data marketplace that allows data providers in both DeFi and TradeFi to benefit from a secure and easy-to-use solution. And again, for anybody outside of your community that are hearing about AllianceBlock for the first time, can you expand on that too?
Of course. So Data Tunnel actually, so it's a marketplace, but I would say it's more than that. Yeah. So I like to call the Data Tunnel the Netflix of data, because any data providers will be able to provide their data to a wide audience of developers, projects, retail that they want to do, that they want to use this data. It could be monetized. We can see that this data will bring also some royalties, which mean that anytime this data is sold, the owners will have a percentage of this data. But not only that, it's because we'll be able also to stream data from big data provider. And we have amazing announcement that is coming soon about one of the biggest data providers in the world that will use our, that will be able to integrate for the Data Tunnel. And actually we'll create new way of subscribing, which means that people will pay as they query instead of paying high licenses to have access to all the data. And at the end, they use only 10% of the data. So basically here, you pay what you use, you pay what you query. And we are really excited about this. And it's a really important part because on AllianceBlock, we have three pillars: compliance and regulation, data, and DeFi technology. The Data Tunnel is part of the data pillar. And we see the growing interest into the decentralized data layer. And here we collaborate with Ocean Protocol, which is one of the biggest projects out there in terms of the data. And yeah, so we have released the MVP, and we will have like another version soon where we'll be able to give to the users the way to monetize their data super easily, and for consumers to be able to pay as they query any data that they want.
And much of our conversation today has been dedicated to people outside of your community and introducing them to the kind of work that you're doing here. But I'm conscious we will have a few loyal members of your community that have tuned in and are hoping for a teaser or an update and have listened all the way through. So is there anything you can share with me today that will leave the listeners wanting more?
Yeah, so actually we have shared a lot of things last week and also like during this call. But what I can say is we have a big ambition, we have a big vision, but most of people think that this will take really long time to be able to achieve this ambition. But we have shown that like most of the products are becoming ready. Either it will be an MVP, or it will be a beta, or even the final products. We have at least 3-4 products that are coming in the next few months. And what I can say is that if we take the Alliance DEX, the decentralized bridge, and the trustless KYC and AML, and you bring them together, so this shows that we will be able to achieve our ambition much sooner than when people think. And we believe that we will have adoption of DeFi by institutionals and finally unlocking DeFi to the world. So this is something that is super exciting. And I will say it again, it will happen much, I would say, quicker than what people think.
Wow, that's incredible news, and so much more refreshing than what we heard a few years ago, where everything was 6 months or a year or 2 or 3 years down the line. So it's great to hear that. And one other thing that's changed on this podcast since we last spoke is I always like to ask my guests and leaders in tech, is there a particular song or piece of music that has inspired them throughout their career or just helps them get their head in the zone before going on stage or a big meeting? Is there a particular song that springs to mind for you, and why would that song be your choice?
100%. So actually, this is something that for me, I listen it all the time, and it remembers me also because I was in as quants in investment banking. Then I have moved, and I was really a techno lover, and then I moved from techno to tech. And techno for me, I would say it's exactly like wine. In the beginning, we don't like it, but we learn how to test it and how to love it. And this was my journey from techno, and it remembered me exactly the journey that we are having now for the startups. And there is one song that I really love. It's from I Hate Models, Daydream. And it's kind of heavy techno, but for me, it's giving me energy. I like to listen to techno like even during the day, and it's really bring energy. And I love this energy because like sometimes I am like working on something, I listen to techno, it's pushed me really to go even faster. And so I would say if I have to choose one song, I would choose this one.
Love it. Well, I'll add that to the playlist so people can find that as well.
I don't know if you will find it actually, but yeah.
And before you go, can you remind everyone listening of where they can find AllianceBlock online and contact your team or join your community? What's the best way of doing that?
Yeah, definitely. So I think the first place is AllianceBlock.io, and we have all our social there. We have our Medium post where we release everything, basically all the news, technical or not technical. We have Twitter, AllianceBlock, where we are very, very active, and we always, any news, we release it through our Twitter. So please don't hesitate to visit us. And if you have any questions, we are always here to answer to all questions and to explain maybe what we are doing and why we are doing it and why we think that we will have an impact in the industry.
Well, usually when I speak with anybody on this podcast from crypto or blockchain, I often struggle to get updates and partnerships and collaborations because so many people are locked down to NDAs. But I think what you're doing here, you're marching forward at a rapid rate, and we've been able to dedicate an entire episode to updates and all the cool things that are happening, which shows how well you're doing. So I'd love to get you back on at the end of the year, another 6 months later, and see how you're getting on. But more than anything, thanks for joining me again today.
Thank you very much. I would love basically to be here in 6 months and to show that we finally did the compliant bridge between DeFi and TradFi.
Man, when Rashid says right at the beginning of the podcast that 6 months is an eternity in the crypto and blockchain world, he wasn't joking, was he? I mean, we last spoke in December 2020, and everything that we've talked about today, from partnerships and strategic collaborations and the way forward and what to expect, all that has happened in just 6 months. It's phenomenal and shows you just how quickly they're moving at AllianceBlock. So I meant what I said. I will be asking Rashid to come on back at the end of the year and see how things are going. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on any of the subjects that we covered today. We did cover a lot of ground in a short amount of time. So if there is anything we missed, if there's something you think we got wrong, if you'd like to add a different side of the discussion, please email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com. Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn is @NeilCHughes, and my website is techblogwriter.co.uk. But we're out of time again, I'm afraid. But have no fear, I will be back again first thing tomorrow morning with an episode waiting to download in your podcast app of choice. But a big thank you for listening. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.